Hey guys, this is Danya with Around Cass County Coffee Break, and today we're talking to DeCori Birmingham. I know a lot of y'all know his family, and he was born and raised in this area. And today we're going to be talking to him about the NFL and now his new position as Queen City basketball coach. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations on
Yeah.
that. So, growing up in Atlanta, Texas, what was your childhood like? And tell us when you first realized that football was going to be a big part of your life.
My childhood here in Atlanta, it was one of those things that and I mean not to sound crazy, but it seems like one of those things that you see in a movie.
Hmm.
Back then me and my friends, we would get on bikes and we'd ride around town, and with technology how it is,
We had fun,
this is
didn't
the
we?
kind of place where I mean, all you have to do is just go find the yard where all the bikes were, and but this community has always been something special. And as far as football, when I was a kid, my dad coached me, and he played football here in Atlanta. Granddad played football here in Atlanta, so it was almost kind of like, man,
That's tradition.
it's tradition. I've always wanted to be a part of this program, and be an Atlanta Rabbit, and being over there watching those guys play at the old football field and watching them come out of the locker room. Those guys were like superheroes to me. And
Exactly.
all I could think about was, someday that's going to be me.
And it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. You went far. Okay. So we were talking a little bit earlier about just growing up in a small town, the things that are important to you and who influenced you. And you were talking about Coach Steinberg and some of the other coaches. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So Coach Schomburg, I never forget, as an eighth grader, Coach Schomburg came and talked to all the eighth grade guys, and he was telling us about what it's going to be like to be in high school and incoming freshmen. And I remember asking Coach Schomburg, has there ever been a freshman that played varsity? And I think he said since he's been there, he might have had one. And I told him, I said, well, what are the chances of me making varsity? He said, son, you're probably not going to do it. Well, that right there gave me the motivation to work hard that summer. My dad worked with me the entire summer, and Coach Schomburg gave me that opportunity.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, I played, I think, 4 or 5 games on freshman, and then he moved me up to varsity. And just that belief that he had in me, for somebody that's been here as long as he has, and
Right.
he's only had one freshman play on varsity, like for him to believe in me, and to say, hey, look, you worked your butt off this summer. You've been doing good on the field. I'm going to give you an opportunity. So, Coach Schomburg was definitely an influence and a major part of who I became as an athlete, as a football. The rest of the coaching staff, Coach Rayleigh, Coach Simmons, Coach Gray, Coach Parker, like all of those guys, they've all had some part of me being who I am as an athlete and as a man.
Yeah, I can just imagine. And I know growing up in a small town like that, when somebody has belief in you and faith in you, that means a lot.
It does.
Having a mentor like that, I think every kid needs a good mentor because just knowing the fact that they believe in you and they trust you with that, and then they kind of push you
Yeah,
with that motivation is pretty awesome.
yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, what are your favorite memories from here in Atlanta High School?
The friendships, our class, I graduated class of 2001. And from the moment we stepped on that campus until we graduated, our group was tight. There were times that we would just buddy. One of my best friends, Sam Rice, we'd meet up at his house, and we would literally, and you talk about community. His parents, there was never a time where anybody wasn't welcome over there. They could even be out of town, but if we call and say, hey, Miss Rice, Mr. Rice, we just need to go somewhere and just kind of hang out. Well, you guys know.
And they trusted you.
Yeah, and they trusted us. But as far as here in Atlanta, like just the traditions, and it's this town is one of those towns that you just can't get enough of it. It's just a place that everybody knows everybody, and just I can walk around this town or drive around this town now, and there isn't a building or something that I can't look at and say, man, I remember this
Yeah.
place of doing this, or I remember this building used to be here. And
Yeah.
so honestly, it's just the community itself. That was my favorite part of being here and being born and raised in Atlanta.
Right. And it is that way. And I can remember when I was in high school, man, I couldn't wait to leave. Right.
Yeah,
And then the older I got, it's like, man,
yeah,
it's time to go home.
yeah,
It's time to be back in that community because there is something about it where you can just go down the streets and go, I know her, I know her, I know
Yeah,
her. Which is really
absolutely.
kind of. So we were also talking about some of the pep rallies. That was a big deal, and it's
Yeah,
happening on Friday
yeah.
nights. Tell me about that.
So pep rallies for us were a huge deal. And again, there was nothing like showing up to school Friday morning, going to the field house, getting your jersey, putting it on, and walking around school all day, because everybody knows, like, hey,
Everybody knows
we
the
got this
football
big game
players.
coming up. Yeah, we got this big game coming up tonight, and there was a tradition that they had. I think they still do it, but 2 o'clock, the drum line for the band would come in, they would come in the
With
building.
rocks.
Yeah. And they would come down the hall. And when you hear it, it's like, hey, it's that time. So the band would go in, we would be, the football players be behind them. And every class that you pass, like the kids would come out. So now there's just a whole train of kids walking through the halls and to get to that gym, and Coach Schomburg or who's ever speaking pumps us up. And it was just one of those deals, like it gives you, hey man, it's time to go.
It's time to go to
It's
work.
showtime,
The
man.
excitement. And I was talking a little bit earlier that I was at state marching contest. And I mean, still to this day, when I think about it or talk about it, I get chill bumps because there's not a feeling in the world like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just totally different.
Yeah.
Okay. So even though you grew up in a small town like Atlanta, when you transitioned into college as a Razorback, what was that like for you?
It was scary. It
Yeah.
was scary. My parents, they raised me to be independent and be able to take care of myself. But it's different when you're here, and they gave me a lot of freedom. The older I got,
Yeah. You built that trust.
yeah, and I learned, like, hey, here at home, hanging out, I've got to be responsible and not get into too much trouble.
Wow.
So when I went to Fayetteville, I'll never forget when my parents dropped me off. There was probably like an hour where I just, like, man, I'm here by myself. Like, I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I knew there was one person that I knew, but he hadn't came up there yet. Jason Peters.
Okay.
He was a Razorback. He got there the year before I did.
Okay. I did not.
But they hadn't reported yet. So like for like 2 weeks, I was there by myself. I didn't know any of the guys I came in with. I didn't know where I was at, how to get from A to B, find a Walmart. So it was, early on, it was kind of scary.
Yeah.
Because you go from a small town where you know exactly where everything is to being in a place like Fayetteville, Arkansas, and you don't know anybody. And so it was tough, but I feel like this community, my parents, my friends, like everybody kind of, helped shape me to be, okay, well, you're going to leave and you're going to be okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a real difference when it's like here in the small town, everybody knew who you were. And there you walk in and
Nobody.
you're not the big guy on campus
No.
anymore.
No.
And it's a totally different feeling. Okay, so many Razorback fans still remember Miracle on Markle. Tell me what that's about. I read that. I was like, he may not even know what that is.
So so in Fayetteville, at the time we had two stadiums. We played in Fayetteville, and then there was another stadium in Little Rock.
Okay.
And it was something special about playing in War Memorial Stadium, which is the one in Little Rock. All those people down there in Little Rock, like, that is a different atmosphere.
Really?
Fayetteville Stadium is bigger, but the atmosphere in Little Rock is just totally different. So, and the stadium's actually on Markham Street.
Okay.
Well, I think it was 2002. We were playing LSU, and the winner of that game was going to go to the SEC championship. And we were down, and we come back. Time was right. It was one of those moments that you dream of as a kid.
Okay.
You practice it, or you pretend to do it every day. And it's just, and what it was, we were running out of time. Our quarterback was scrambling. He threw it to the back of the end zone, and I just happened to be there. And
so it's about you. Miracle on Markham is you.
Yeah. So he threw it up, and there was a guy in front of me, and I just went up for it, made the catch, scored the touchdown. That tied the game, but our kicker he was solid. So we knew, like, hey, if we score, that one point we took the lead. So, and that's the game that took us to the SEC championship. So, and again, for that moment to happen to me in that stadium at that time, it was just, and to this day, I mean, that was 20 something years ago. Like, every year when we play LSU, they bring that up.
Wow.
If I go to Fayetteville or I run across a Razorback fan that knows who I am, they'll talk about it. Hey, man, it's just one of those things that I was blessed to be a part of it, be a part of that team, and have a chance to do something that I've always dreamt of doing, catching a game winning.
Yeah, the game winning. I mean, that sounds pretty. And like you said, you were scrambling. There's seconds on the clock. He throws the ball.
Yeah.
Everybody in the stands waiting.
It's like a movie. It's like when I think about it, it's almost one of those. Yeah, it's like one of those things you see in a movie. So
yeah,
I was just glad to be a part of it.
That is awesome. I love that. Okay, after college, you played several with different NFL organizations. Which was your biggest lessons that you learned during that transition?
I guess one of the biggest things that I learned is, even though I've played football my entire life, like, when you get to that level, it's a job.
Yeah.
Yes, it's still a game, but it's a job. And I mean, it's not just, it's not just during the season. I mean, it's like the entire year, because even when you're not in season playing, you still have to work out and take care of yourself and eat right and make, great decisions and things like that. And it's also a bit, I mean, when I say it's a business, it is a business. Like, those guys, some of the guys that I've played with, They taught me a lot about being able to manage your time, be consistent, because there are times where during the off season, like, hey man, I'm not going to work out this whole season. I'm just going to hang out. But you have to think of yourself like this is your job, and if you don't do your job, somebody will take your job.
Somebody, exactly.
So it taught me a lot about being consistent and what it means to focus. And hey, this is your job. You got to take care of it.
You are now a professional.
Yeah.
You are no longer, yeah.
Yeah.
And I can see that because I mean, a lot of times I love watching high school football and I love watching college football, but there's a different level of professional when you get into the NFL where the tackles aren't quite as hard or they're not like, I guess because they're protecting their bodies more, they don't want to get hurt because that is their livelihood.
Yes.
But in high school and college, man, y'all are just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
It was physical. It was physical. It was fast. It taught me a lot about studying. I mean, even in college, you have to study for school and things like that.
Absolutely.
But once you get into the NFL, like they give you a playbook that's, I don't know, 9 inches thick, like that things like that.
Wow.
Like it's and
Constantly.
you have to study. Nobody's telling you, hey, make sure you study. Like if you want to stay here, you need to know what you're doing. So
Right. So, like, we'll call it a certain way, and you have to know what that is. They have to do. Okay. Was there a particular NFL player or coach that really has stuck with you over the time and impacted you?
I would say the head coach for Carolina, John Fox. I think he was the one that really kind of took his time with me. Because like I said, when you go from team to team, every offense is different. So you have to pick everything up on the fly. And
Everybody's book is different.
yeah, everybody's book is different. But he was one of those guys that always kind of motivated me and said, hey man, you're doing a good job. Just keep doing what you're doing. Make sure you're studying. And, he would check on me from time to time. And, I've talked to him a couple of times since I've been out of the league. And so he was one of those guys that really motivated me. And as far as players, and there's a lot of them. And when I say a lot, obviously all of the running backs that I played with, D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart. There was one guy, Curtis Moore. He's an older running back. Brandon Jacobs, all of the running backs, they really taught me what it was like to play that position at a professional level. Peyton Manning, Brady, like watching those guys, the way that they focus and they approach the game, the film study that they do. There's a lot of them. Steve Smith, even Jason Peters, he was one of those guys that, Jason really showed me a lot because Jason went undrafted.
What does that mean exactly to the person that doesn't know football?
So in football, every April there's an NFL draft.
Right.
And that's when, everybody that's trying to get into the NFL, your name is going to get called at some point. And I think at the time there's like 7 rounds and, there's 300 plus players that get drafted, and those that don't get drafted, you still have an opportunity to go and try out for a team. Well, Jason was one of those guys that didn't get drafted, but his resilience and the way that he fought and pushed through and had that, I'm not going to give my dream up attitude. I think he's like a 6 or 7 time Pro Bowler, future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And just watching his career and watching how he took care of his business, that really motivated me to say, hey, you know what? Don't quit.
Don't quit.
Just keep pushing. Like if this is something that you really want, keep pushing,
And that's not just with football. That's with anything. People need to realize when you have a dream like that, you can't just start and stop. You got to keep working through it. The highs, the lows, all of it, all the way through. Okay. So how many years were you in the NFL?
I was there 5 or 6 years.
5 or 6 years.
Somewhere around there.
And it really takes a toll on your body, right?
Yes.
Being out there and that kind of thing. So after you got off the NFL, what did you do next?
So once I decided that, I was kind of done with it, I came home and because I came right back here.
You came back to Atlanta.
I came right back to Atlanta and, I was sitting around and I was talking to my dad and I was like, what am I going to do? Because, my whole life has been kind of like.
That's scary.
Yeah. It's like when that dream ends, like, what's your next move? And at the time, my dad was he was a correctional officer in Titus County. He worked as a jailer in Titus County. And he was telling me about that. And I was like, man, I think that's something that I can get into, like something on the law enforcement side.
Yeah.
So I started working as a jailer in Cass County in Linden.
Okay.
Did that for 2 years. And, I remember watching these troopers and these officers come in there and just talking to them, having conversations. I was like, man, I think I want to be a law enforcement. I want to be a cop.
Yeah.
So I made up my mind to, I actually went to Arkansas, Miller County, Arkansas, and worked as a sheriff's deputy for 2 years. And there was a couple of troopers back here that I knew, Shane Lawrence and Wayne Johnson and Money Vincent Hunt, some of those guys. And just talking to them, like, hey man, look, if you're going to be a law enforcement, you need to come on back home.
Do it
wear
here.
a cowboy.
That's right. That's right.
So I applied and got accepted, and I went to the DPS Academy and graduated there in 2014 and was a trooper for 12 years.
Wow, 12 years. Now you were a state trooper,
Mhm.
right? And you were recognized as a Texas DPS Trooper of the Year. Tell me about that. What happened there?
I think it was my first or second year as being a trooper, and I was just one of those guys that I just wanted to go out and make a difference, And I mean, when I say make a difference, it wasn't necessarily about writing tickets or taking people to jail or things like that, but just being an asset in your community. At the time, I was stationed in Texarkana, and I don't know. I honestly I couldn't tell you how, because all I did was put my head down and just went to work.
And I think that's so important to see that because you have transitioned so much from the time you were in high school to the time that you went to college to the NFL, returning back home, being part of the community that you're in.
Mhm.
And now then, I guess you were a state trooper up until the time that you got the position in Queen
Mhm.
City. Okay. And so tell us about the position that you're going to be joining in Queen City and what you're really looking forward to.
So, Coach Kevin Reeves, he gave me a call and he said, "Hey man, we'd love to have you over here." And I was thinking about, I was like, man, I'd love to coach. I've always wanted to coach, and when I got that opportunity, I jumped on it. And I can tell you now, the coaching staff that he's put together over there, the relationships that we're building with these kids, Queen City is going to do something amazing this year.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to be a part of it. Man, like you said, growing up as an Atlanta Rabbit, it's just a
Your boy.
crosstown rival. And, a lot of my friends would call me and they said, man, I can't believe, of course, they were happy for me, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I can't, why wouldn't you come back to Atlanta?
Yeah.
Atlanta's got a great coaching staff and they're doing great things over there. But for me, I want to be a part of something that when it happens, when that change happens, I can say, hey, you know what?
I was
I
part of
was a
that.
part of that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
These kids right now, our summer workouts started Monday. Their attendance has been great. Their attitudes have been great. Coach Reeves is really teaching these guys about not only, and he reminds me a lot of Coach Schomburg. It's not, the game of football is the game of football, but we're trying to teach these young men like, hey, look, in life there's ups and downs. Just like, the last 2 years for Queen City, and the guys this is their senior year, like, hey, you've been beat down for 2 years. We're not going to roll over and quit. We're going to keep fighting and we're going to get better. And that's what he's teaching these guys. He's teaching them discipline. He's teaching them how to be young men.
That's important.
And to be a part of a coaching staff, and all the coaches are, and be a part of a coaching staff that is looking to change the culture in these kids and showing them like, hey, we can win and we can be great, but we have to quit. God is going to give it to you.
Yeah.
So to be a part of that, like, I'm super excited. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm so glad. Now, I really hate that there's black and orange on your head.
It's growing over there.
It's growing. Okay. Well, I guess we'll let that pass.
Yeah.
But we're really glad that you are back. Now, we have your son here too.
Yes.
What is your son's name and how old is he?
So my son, this is Dylan. Dylan's 15. He'll be a sophomore next year, and right now he's fighting for a spot as one of our linebackers and tight ends. And he went to school in Atlanta.
Yeah, I see the orange and black now here too. Even the hair.
He went to school in Atlanta, and when I told him about the position, he was like, "Dad, he's always." And I've coached him in Little League.
Okay.
And I was one of those guys that I'm gonna push my kids, in Little League, but once they go to a different, or once they start playing organized football as far as with the school, hey, your coaches, those are the guys that, I'm still going to back you up and help you out, but these are the coaches right
They'll
here.
be your coach, right?
But to have an opportunity to, like I said, be a part of something amazing and share that with him, like
there's not a better feeling.
There's not a better feeling. Like and he's doing an amazing job, just like the rest of those guys. But to see him running around that field and getting excited with the guys, and it's like, hey, look, like I'm out here with him. I'm not standing over there watching. Like I'm out here with him.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That's an experience you guys will never forget.
Yeah, it's a great experience. It's a great feeling, and again, I love it, and I'm excited for it.
That's awesome. So tell me, what about your dad? What do you think about all this NFL and all that stuff?
I'm truly excited. It's going to be a great season for Queen City and everybody. Like you said, though, it's a bounce back here for Queen City. I'm really excited to be with my dad first year.
That's incredible. I'm so glad that you guys are able to do that. And is there anything you want to say to Atlanta before we get off here today?
If I had to say anything to Atlanta, it's thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just the amount of support that I've gotten from, and I have to say this because I don't want to sound biased. The amount of support that I've received, not only from my community here in Atlanta, but this county as a whole.
Absolutely.
It's a testament to them It's a testament to my parents, to my friends, anybody that has had an impact in my life, to be able to have that support, that love, that belief and that trust. I mean, all I can say is thank you.
And you know what? I totally agree with you. I came back. I drove a 18-wheeler for several years and came back, and it's really a nice feeling to know that you're home.
Yes.
You know, we're home. Even though
Absolutely.
Queen City's a little bit that way,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're still home.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
know, you're still home.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
thank you guys so much for coming.
We
I really
appreciate it.
appreciate it. And you guys, I hope you have a great one. If y'all have a way to get in contact or go see him play and his son play and him coach Queen City, y'all reach out and go and say hi to him. You guys have a blessed day. Bye.